You are listening to the Denver Community Media Podcast. For members, by members, highlighting their contributions to our community. Hello and welcome to the Denver Community Media Podcast. I am your host, Matt Struck, and on this show, we interview members of our community, talk about the projects they're working on, what got them started in the industry, and also give advice to others who want to break into media, podcasting, films, photography, all the good stuff. So I would like to bring to the stage our guest for today, my dear friend, Senaiet.
Hi, everyone.
There we go.
Hello.
Yay.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show. So me and you have been friends for, I was trying to count it, but it's been a good amount of years.
I think so, yeah.
So once you became a Denver community member again, and once I became a Denver community member again, I was like, oh, yay, you get to come on the show.
I know. I was excited when you asked me.
Yeah. No, this is great. I feel like you and I have worked on several different projects together, and here we are today.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, let's go ahead and just dive into that word community. I feel like it gets thrown around a lot. And what does community mean to you?
That's a good question. I feel like I've been thinking about community so much lately. To me, it really means people helping people, you know what I mean? Kind of independent from our capitalist system that we work, under pretty much. But really, it's just about people that you love and care about and, really trying to be there for them. I think it's pretty hard with like the setup that we have right now in our society of just like it's so like grind and you do that Monday through Friday and then it's almost like what else is left at the end of the week and I feel like that is probably going to be like the missing link for a lot of people is just that connection with other people. So really that just means to me just like people that I love and that I want to support and then I want to be with. And, obviously they're going to be local to my environment as well. So I would say that.
Wow. Knocked it out the park. That was really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think community is super vital. And in terms of fighting loneliness, I think I've been thinking about that a lot lately, that when I feel connected to a group of people, I'm less likely to be like anxious and depressed. And just having kind of a group of people to kind of like lean on, in a healthy way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This past weekend, so, my parents are Eritrean. And so when they first came to the United States, they had like this group of like Eritrean people that all kind of came at the same time. And so over the years, it's always been like this community of like my parents' generation that have like just really stayed in contact with each other and really have kind of like built a community in Denver, And so, so this past weekend, it was the 70th birthday party of one of my dad's best friends, I guess you can say that. And while I was at that birthday party, I got so emotional because a lot of the people that my parents and, that person's who turned 70, a lot of the people that he also came to the States with, they were all there. And it was just such a emotional moment because in that space, like when everyone was around him and, they're singing him happy birthday and really he doesn't even know his real birthday. But anyway, that's another conversation.
Whoa.
But it was really, really special to me because then I really saw like live like what the power of community really does because like our parents came here with nothing, what I mean, like they didn't speak the language, they didn't have like there was no internet, there was no phone, there was no people that you could just go online and research whatever, so it was really like them relying on each other in order to make it in America really. And to see them have decades of memories of support of like the love that they just shared with each other, and then to see that like culminated, I don't know if I'm saying that word right, but like come full circle, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
during that birthday party was just so cool and so emotional for me to watch, because I was like, man, that's what I'm trying to create, something similar
Yeah.
like that.
That's amazing. Yeah, I it reminds me of one of the first kind of the first few years in my sobriety, and my bank account went negative,
Yeah.
which when I was like drinking, okay, that was kind of par for the course, right? But in sobriety, I was like, what is this? And it freaked me out. But luckily, a friend of mine had a birthday party, and I went there, and then there was like so much food, and I was like, cool, we're going to eat today. And then the next day, another friend of mine had another birthday party, or not a birthday, but a party.
Yeah.
And they didn't know, because I didn't mention that I was struggling, because I just had too much pride, right?
Yeah.
And I remember this like warm feeling of being with friends and feeling like I'm going to be taken care of. And I was like, that feeling has happened throughout millennia. But in this new system, it's kind of like you can just be alone and never need anyone if you have enough money, right?
Yeah.
But then, of course, after I got my first paycheck, I was like, see ya.
Peace out.
Got me a big old thing of fish and chips. You watching YouTube?
It is kind of interesting how, like, I've been thinking a lot about that too, about like, because I think when I think about wealthy people, I do think about isolation. And I was thinking about like, can it look different though? Because I think that's kind of like almost like a negative, I don't know, perspective of looking at things. But I was really wondering, I was like, does having money, having wealth, just naturally lead to isolation? And I think it does when I think about it.
Yeah, I think it can, which is kind of sad. I mean, I remember there's something the Dalai Lama said about like power, status, and money should be watched carefully because they lose value when they're shared. But things like love, they don't lose any power when they're shared. You can just like keep sharing love in your
Right.
life. So according to the Dalai Lama, then you should just keep an eye on it. you know?
Okay, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go with him.
I want to talk a bit about just your kind of attraction to media and creation. What kind of got you started with making kind of art or media in the public access realm?
Yeah, I think it was actually, I've always kind of had like an interest in media, and I wasn't really sure how to kind of get my foot in the door. I didn't know, like, do you apprentice? I don't know, how do you get it? How do you figure out your footing in that type of industry? And while I was in school, it wasn't until I kind of decided that that was something that I wanted to focus on in my major, about media studies, and really like the power that comes from media, because when, we were talking about it in classes and during school and stuff like that, we would always talk about how, like, there's only, I want to say there's only like 6 major brands that all control media. And if you look at who are at the top of each of those chains, typical, middle-aged white man is kind of like the stereotype, not the stereotype, but that's what it is, And I was thinking about like, their influence that they have over the media due to their, their biases or their beliefs and all of that. And I was like, I want to be able to create something that tells the story from our perspective, not only tells the story, but also shows like the beauty and really like the wealth in our culture. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I feel like things happen in our communities, and especially in people of color communities, things happen where we're like, oh, like once this goes mainstream, then it's going to be like on, and like that's when it becomes popular. But I kind of want to change that perspective of in a way that shows that like it doesn't have to like reach this mass I don't know, scale in order for it to be valuable. You know what I mean? Like there's value in our communities just as they are, and I want them to be able to see the beauty and the value in that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that that's like the great part about like public access in general and
Yeah.
Denver community media specifically is that you can kind of come in and create at a bigger level without having to kind of just have it be like this dream, right? This pie in the sky type thing.
Absolutely. I mean, the resources in it that you need to even create media, it's expensive. You know what I mean? And so, and to be able to have a place like a Denver Community Media where I can come in and, not completely like empty out my wallet trying to like create something, it's so helpful and it's so inspiring too, because then not only are you thinking like of what's possible now, but then you're also meeting so many different people while you're here in this building and, meeting so many other creatives. And it's just been really awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I just want to take a second to just appreciate you.
Thank you.
And I think that your willingness to collaborate and your curiosity and just our conversations, I'm just so happy that I met you and we became friends and creative collaborators. And
I think about the same thing. Yeah. I was like, Matt, you've been such a creative mentor, I would say, to me. And it's not even in one specific, I don't know, style of art or whatever, but I just love hearing your perspective on just what it means to be an artist. Yeah, it's been really inspiring for me.
wow,
Yeah.
thank you for giving me that. I'll take that as a real compliment. And yeah, I mean, I just appreciate just every time that we get to hang out and talk and work together.
Me too.
One of my favorite weird memories was there was like a half second that I was going to plan on selling clothes out of that metal container across the street. It was only there for like 2 months, right? But it's just such a funny, like crazy set of circumstances that I feel like if I told someone that story, they wouldn't believe that that happened, but you were there. So it did happen.
It did happen. The clothes were amazing.
I was actually looking to get more denim jackets again, and it made me think of those ones I had, and I was like, what was the name of that brand? So if you happen to remember the name of that brand, not today,
Okay.
but I want to get more of those because I really like that cloth because, you could take the boy out of the metal fashion container, but you can't take the metal fashion container out of the boy. All right. So, yeah, what are some highs and lows of working in media that you felt as a creative?
I think some of the highs that I've experienced so far have been things like where I've been scared to try something, but then I'll just go ahead and just do it. Say, for instance, photography. Like when I really decided that I wanted to take that a little bit more serious, I booked a person who was going to shoot with me, and we booked a studio room, and studios are a little bit more difficult for me personally when shooting photography because it's just like a smaller space and everything. And so it's like, I feel like sometimes it's like I have to learn just as I go, you know what I mean? There's nobody that's really gonna like guide you into whatever kind of like artist profession that you're in, you know what I mean? You'll have like people like you and other people that can kind of help guide you a little bit, but it's really just on your own, you know? And so I think that's also some of the difficult parts, but also it's also some of the best parts about it, because then you're just kind of left to see like, what do you come up with? Like and not only what do you come up with, but what do you like? It kind of hones in on kind of like what skills you want to do, what skills that you want to like get better at. Yeah.
Okay. So lows.
Okay.
Do you have any lows? And then we'll segue the lows into advice for people who are interested in kind of getting involved.
Okay. Some of the lows have just been honestly just dealing with like my ego, you know.
Okay.
It's
Coming through authentic. Hit us with
yeah,
it.
it's one of those weird things where it's like I think it looks good, I think it's great, but sometimes like you might get a reaction from the person that you're working with, or maybe a client or whoever it is, that maybe they don't have the greatest feedback for you or something like that. That's been really hard to take. It's like, oh wow, and it's really, for me, I'm just learning like it's okay. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you're completely terrible and you should just give up altogether. That these are things that are gonna eventually make me a better photographer, artist, and all of that in general. But yeah, it's a little hard.
I can relate to that. So with Really Late Night, before we finished filming all the scenes, I put together most of the show, and it was 36 minutes long, and it was probably one of the worst things I've made. And I was like, was all of this wrong? I was like, I've been chasing this for the better part of 9 years, and it was like, oh my God, was I wrong?
Oh my
And then
gosh,
we
yeah.
kept filming and kept cleaning it up, and then it came together. And I remember I saw Jesse in the hallway. I was like, just give me a hug. He's like, what's up? What's
Bring it
up?
in.
And I was like, we have made it. We are here. But yeah, ego checking. My ego gets hurt all the time.
Yeah.
And not even just like in the like the egotistical. I think sometimes as like Westerners, people hear ego and they just think egotistical or confident or cocky.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, this is who I thought I was.
Right.
It's like, this is who I was supposed to be.
Right. It's so much bigger than that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if someone wanted to get involved in like Denver community media, if they're on the fence, let's say, what would you say to them if they were like, should I join? Should I not join? What would be your advice?
I would say I think that you should definitely give it a try. I think that they have a lot of different membership options. So if the problem is affordability, then there's options for that. And I really think that people should just try it out. I mean, like I said, not only are you getting like access to top of the line equipment, but you're also going to be potentially meeting so many other creatives and so many other people that you could potentially collaborate with and learn from. And I think that alone makes it worth it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, even like I interviewed Javon on the podcast.
Yeah.
And we started talking, and now we're like friends, and we want to help each other with all kinds of stuff. And it's like, just by being here.
I love
you
that.
know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I think also like, I mean, like, here, we'll go wide for this. Like, look at this studio. It's like so
Right?
nice.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, this is like a professional studio. This is really nice.
I know. We just need the right format to be in here more. This is a great segue. If anyone is interested, potentially Senaiet, Denver Community Media is looking for someone to host season 2 of the Denver Community Media podcast, where you get to interview members. So if you're interested, email info@denvercommunitymedia.org if you want to replace me for season 2. The invitation's open to you too. Next
might
year.
inquire about
All
details.
right. Yeah. So, in this continued vein of support, let's say we had a time machine and you could go back and give younger Senaiet advice. What would you tell younger Senaiet?
Oh my God, that's such a great question. Take the risk. Just go. Just go.
That's great. I don't want to step on that because that was so perfect.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I feel like I keep on learning that lesson over and over and over again. It's like, people, especially when you tell people the things that you want to do, sometimes, they'll probably, and these are, usually it's coming from a good place and a loving place where they'll try to keep you safe, so it might be like, are you sure you want, before you, maybe quit your job and go for this pursue this artistic whatever. Maybe you should stay another year and work at a corporate job. You might hear that type of feedback, but I really feel like you should listen to your gut and, and just go make it happen. Because I would much rather live with knowing that I at least went for it and it didn't work out, rather than a what if. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that similar, if I could go back, I could tell my younger self that it's even more possible than I realized.
Ooh, I love that.
Because I think, and also just the media landscape has changed so much between when I was a teenager making movies with my friends versus now. We actually have access to cinema cameras and stuff, and it's only opening up more. But yeah, just like really have the faith that it could be as big as you're thinking.
Right.
Maybe not as much money as you're thinking, but I think it's possible to like make a living as a creative.
Yeah.
And, not make $1 million a year, but even if you did 30, 40, 50,000 a year doing your dream, like that's wild.
Awesome.
That's totally possible.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I also think that we were talking about turning the Film Society, bringing everyone in here.
Oh.
So we could talk about the movies we watch soon after, right? And like, I was like, oh, the only time I'm going into the podcast is for the DCM podcast. So I haven't figured out the details yet. But I think a Barbie debriefing is needed for the group.
I think so too. There was because it's gotten a lot of attention. And and in fact, actually, one of my friends told me that her, I don't know if it was like an aunt or something like that. Anyway, a family friend or something like that, basically told her that she didn't agree with the movie because that it promoted homosexuality.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so during the whole movie, I kept on being like, where is she seeing this? Because I'm not really catching it.
Right.
So I think it was just really controversial because it's so different from, the original, of course, trying to like play on like women and women empowerment. So I thought it was interesting. I think there's a lot that could be said about that movie.
Yeah, I like that it walked this line of like critiquing Barbie as what's the word I'm looking for? As like an American staple.
Right.
But then also being like, well, she did contribute this, and that kind of like rough relationship, which I think is just a relationship with history.
Yeah.
Of like, how do you acknowledge the good parts, but also like critique the bad parts at the same time.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too, because I actually really love that part of it too. And I liked how they switched it to like, what is it, where like the women kind of run the world and that kind of stuff. And then when Ken goes back into the real world, and he's like faced with the patriarchy, I thought that was so interesting. I love that part actually.
Yeah. I guess we'll let the viewers in on also that we kind of created a little film society out of basically a group of friends, and we all get together and we watch movies every first Saturday of the month, have a potluck, and now we've started going to the movies, which is cool. And I think that that's also the same byproduct of just community.
Yeah.
And to me, it's really important that we have like a group of people, and it seems like film is where we all meet.
Yeah.
Even though everyone specializes in different things like photography or sound or music or acting. I just feel like grateful to be older and still have such a big circle of friends. Like I joked on the way to the movie theater. It's like, I've never had this many friends.
It is so nice. In fact, actually, I brag about you guys all the time because I'm like, oh, I'm actually going to my film society meetups. And they're like, oh, what is this about? I'm like, yeah, so this is what we do.
Right. My dream is to get little cards made. And it's
God.
Film Society 0001, Film Society member 0002. Like we are the real base start.
Oh my God. I think we should definitely do that, actually.
That's so awesome. So, are there any projects that you're working on that you'd like to tell us about?
Yeah. So I'm actually working with a friend of mine right now. We actually grew up together. So his name is Jonas, and he is a local Denver musician. And so he just released his album in November. And so basically I'm working with him to create content, really. So photography, maybe short clips of videos, doing different events that he is doing, like if he's performing and that kind of thing. So I've been helping out with that sort of thing. And so anyway, so me and Jonas had met when we were young kids. So he's Eritrean, just like I am. And so when we were younger, there used to be, speaking of community, there used to be a Eritrean community center where basically it was just like a community-run Eritrean culture school. And so, and it was like once a week, so all, and we were like maybe like around 8 or 9 around this time. And so basically every week we would go to this Eritrean community school and we would learn Tigrinya, which is like the main language of Eritrea. And so, and then we didn't talk to each other for a really long time until high school. We went to high school together and then kind of lost contact again. And then we just recently connected to do this project with him. And it's really interesting because I feel like a lot of what we talk about is about community, and it's about again, even just like a media and what kind of stuff do we actually want to put out into the world, what are we actually even trying to say, and I like the fact that this isn't, I think I like working with Jonas so much because it isn't just about like, oh, let's get to 1 million subscribers or 1 million views or let's make $100,000. It's not really about that kind of stuff. It's really about like the message and kind of like basically just trying to tell our story, you know what I mean? And I think that Jonas and even myself are in a particular or unique situation where we can tell stories that may not have been widely told before, especially considering that we're like first generation Eritrean Americans.
Totally.
I just don't really see that out there so much. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing like, what we'll be able to create together.
Yeah, no, I follow him on Instagram and I'm always like, oh, I love what he's doing and what you're helping with and the hoodies that he printed and the dream pop for Black people.
Yes, Obliterati Records is his label.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love it and I'm excited to see what you two make together.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this the other day about how AI is coming, and I think that media is about to be turned up just in the quantity amount, and that handmade and like, what people genuinely make is going to be even more valuable because the amount of poorly produced media that is about to hit us is a wave. Yeah. Well, and what's funny is, I watched a documentary on Max, right? Which HBO just got bought by another company. Oh. And like HBO had such like a strong brand, like everything they made was so good.
Yeah.
And I ended up watching this documentary on their new platform and I was so disappointed. And it was
really?
like this watered down documentary and I was like, yep, this is what it's going to be like when the game is now going to be just quantity and not quality. But I hope that means that real independent artists are going to be kind of the creme de la creme, right? Like, me and you could go right now, not that we would, but we could go to Hobby Lobby and buy like paintings that say like live, laugh, love and hang them up, right? But that's not really going to like help our homes feel comfortable, right? Versus like a homemade art piece or something.
I think so too. And I've already started to notice just kind of like, I don't know, like the vibes from people in regards to like AI art specifically, where people they're like, I mean, it's great, it's cool, it's creative, and it's kind of fun to figure out kind of like where this might go with AI and stuff like that. But on the other hand, I think people want to feel something, they want to feel like connected. And I just don't know if like AI is going to be able to provide that like human emotional, I don't even know what to call it. It's like that special little juju that we put into the art that people feel.
Right.
So I think that's always going to be, I don't know, top dog.
Yeah. No, completely. Because to me, that's where the magic is, right?
Yeah.
When you can make something that connects with someone because it's a shared human experience.
Exactly.
An AI is not going to get. And then also, I don't know if you've played with any of the AI, like Mid-Journey, any of those like things, but it's like once you type it in, it's done. You don't have control. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we took a quick little break to go get water and take care of some stuff. We were ranting about AI. Beware. I think that like the big thing is just being able to keep like that human touch. And also, it's like kind of feels like a party trick, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. So what I was
Wait, you go. I don't want to mess it up.
okay. So basically, what I was gonna say was that I think one of the things that really, like, you know, when we were talking about like that special juju and all that kind of stuff. So, and kind of what you were talking about, like AI, you type in a sentence and they basically create everything else for you. But one of the things, especially in photography, that I really, really love, and I still love it, and kind of drew me into photography in the first place, was street photography. And the reason why that I love street photography so much is because it really just captures people living in their moment. You know what I mean? It's not like in their everyday existence. And I love seeing people just going through their mundane day, you know what I mean? And capturing little moments of that. And because it's never going to be replicated, you know what I mean? Even if we do the same things every day and all that stuff, go to work the same way, all that kind of stuff, it's still like that moment will never happen again.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. There's something really, really special for me with that, where it just kind of forces me to be in the present moment too. You know what I mean? Where it's just like nothing else really matters. Just like here, now, what is happening right now?
Wow.
That I love.
Yeah. No, it makes you wonder, like, you know, do people not value the things that are happening, or do they just value like new technology and tools?
I think people are like I said, I think people are really searching for that connection, because I think they're thinking like AI might lead to that connection, but I don't know. I feel like people like have you heard of third places?
I'm a big fan of third places.
Yeah. And so I was watching a video recently and they were talking about how like there's been such a lack of third places for people to go to besides work and home. And I don't know. I just feel like people are really searching to find what is that going to be, because I feel like in the past it might have been like maybe, you know, on the weekend it's like going to the clubs, you know, or maybe going to the mall, or I don't know, stuff like that, you know. But I was like, I don't think there really exists a place where people can just go and just hang out and just be without spending loads of money too.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the key ingredients of a third place, is that like a public park is a good example, because we can all go there for free.
Exactly.
And there's a neutrality to third places that it's funny. I just watched a video about the whole concept of third places. That's why I'm excited. Yeah. No, I think you have a couple different interest overlaps. I think third places, and then also like walkable cities.
Yes.
I think we both enjoy. I think we'll jump over to that. I have one more thing to say to AI before we leave. That other video I sent you about kind of like the postmodern theory about how like it's like, okay, so it's like there's a pumpkin, right, which is the original idea, right? But then capitalism takes it and then is like, we need to commodify it. It's like, okay, let's have pumpkin pie. And then it's like, okay, I understand it. It's still orange. I understand it. There is pumpkin in it. But then it's like, okay, what about pumpkin spice lattes? And then it's like, okay, you're getting a little further from me. And then it's like a pumpkin spice latte creamer that has like orange in it, right? And the idea is that as media continues, is that it just becomes a copy of a copy of a copy, and the end destination is a copy which there is no original, right? So when you're talking about street photography, it's like that's an honest reflection of what life was like on that day.
Right.
But if someone goes into AI and types in street photography person smiling, it's like that's a reflection of nothing.
Right.
And to me, the idea of reflection of nothing is like philosophically so terrifying.
Wow. You
Like,
know what that actually reminds me of? And I think I might have mentioned this to you already about how my professor in college once, he told me like he went to like a Stanford or Yale, one of those top schools, but he didn't come from those communities type thing. And one thing that he would always say was like, these people that go to these schools and come from those communities, we give them so much power. We think that they're so smart, that they're so knowledgeable and all of these things. But he was like, they are trying to solve the same problems that we're solving, but in an abstract way. Because they've never experienced any of the things that we've experienced. You know what I mean? So they can only think about it in this abstract way.
Wow.
And that's the way that I kind of think about AI, only in this abstract way.
Right.
Unless you're really living in the everyday life of it, it's the same
It's
thing.
wild.
It really is.
Well, I really just want to thank you for coming on and being a guest. And, I'm excited to have you on again in, a less DCM capacity, because I am hosting this and I am on my best behavior, which I always am anyways. But when you come back on and for my podcast, me and you can really go to town on what is wrong
I'm looking forward
with
to
this
it.
world.
All right. Going on a rant.
All right. So we're going to do our parting remarks. Thank you for listening to the Denver Community Media Podcast for members by members. Did you enjoy listening to today's podcast? If so, please like and follow us. You can find more content on dcminthecloud.org, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you're interested in becoming a member, please visit denvercommunitymedia.org. If you're already a member and would want to be a guest on this show, this amazing, funny, lovely, amazing, entertaining show that never has hiccups or awkward pauses because of the host, please email us at info@denvercommunitymedia.org. Thank you for listening, and until next time, stay creative. Thank you, Senaiet.
you.
You are an amazing guest.
Thank you so much.